Nice.
So there's your simile there. All right, so the next one is actually Corvus's pick for this, and he picked a very. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say it's controversial, but more so, it's a. I. How do I word this? Like a tried and true.
So I came up with this. I have a new, kind of a newfound love of multi roles, and going back through the Republic line, I have decided that it was more joyful than my first pass, and it may be because now I have more experience with the line. I play it better. Anything's possible, right? So uh, because I have a new joy with multi roles, um, I decided that uh, the especially the U.S. tech tree, um, it's got two multi role lines, but there are a lot of multi role possibilities because the United States during the war decided to hang bombs on everything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you let your bombs go and then you do your fightery thing, and that's I think a great way to play this game. You play this game um, with airplanes that have ordnance. You drop your ordnance and then you go and you shoot down aircraft. So in that way, I had a great copy paste the A-36 Apache. The A-36 Apache was essentially a P-51A with a little more powerful engine that took long bombs and retained two additional machine guns. um, and so when it comes right down to it, it's got 650 cal machine guns, 4 in the wings like the P-51A, and 2 in the cowling. It also had, if I remember correctly, 2 500-pound bombs. Okay, now we're getting into P-47 Bravo territory. Except we're not going to carry along rockets with this guy, so it's going to be just bombs. And it's a Mustang, so it's got some good guns. It's got some bombs. So in order for it not to overshadow the P-51A, it's got to have some compromise somewhere. Probably altitude, probably ultimate speed, maybe a little bit of turning ability. But I don't know. It sounds to me like it could be something like the P-40N, where you've given it, exactly the same, sort of exactly the same performance, except you've given it a gun slot, and now the P-47N at Tier 5 is more powerful than the P-40 light fighter. So the argument
Oh, you mean the
argument about
P40N?
the P-40N.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. The P-40N is more powerful than the P-40. This is Tier 5 I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because of the gun slot. Okay, then at Tier 6, the A-36 Apache, is it going to be more powerful than the P-51A? And the answer should be no, because the hard stat should not be the same. It should be less fast and less altitude. But it's got great guns, and it's got those bombs, and the bombs should reload reasonably fast. Not as fast as the P-47 Bravo, but pretty fast. I don't know. What do you think?
I
90
tend to
seconds?
agree with
100
you.
seconds?
Yeah.
100 seconds sounds reasonable. And you've put equipment slots at one each: cockpit, airframe, engine, and outboard weapons. And I think that's great because you could either give it a speed build or a reload build, and the speed build could help it in the speed department. And you could give it speed airframe and speed engine, and make it nearly as fast as P-51A. So it could be a real challenger. And the beauty is you don't have to do anything to the model, hardly. The model almost draws itself, as it were.
Absolutely, you sound about right. So I won't be quite flying the simile to the Apache here. I'm not going to be flying the Mustang 1, or because I also don't have the P-51A. But but I will fly the Mustang 1A and just kind of let you do your thing with this, since this is your plane for this one. It's your show for the moment.
And even though we've talked about what 100 planes in a course of our conversations about premiums.
Who knows?
It's a lot. It's a lot. We've talked about a lot of planes, and narrowing it down to these actually was hard enough. There's at least this many and more that I would love to see in the game. Like I said, the Westland Whirlwind. Gosh, the oh man, now I'm having a memory hole about the turret equipped fighter. You know which one I'm talking about, the turret equipped fighter, Bolton Paul Defiant. That's the one.
Lordy, that would be I don't know about that one, man. That one might be a bit of a
it would be a stretch,
like the freaking this premium Junkers was.
Right.
Nobody talks about that plane anymore.
Right. The V2, the FW190 V2, the V-tail BF109. All these planes essentially copy
or
paste,
even double twister.
Paste. Right, double twister. So yeah, I mean, all these planes that are the double twister is a weird plane. It's a seriously weird plane. I'd love it, but it's weird. And what is it? It'd probably end up being a Tier 8 heavy fighter, and that's the last thing that Tier 8 needs is another heavy fighter.
Oh no, it wouldn't be a Tier 8 heavy fighter, man. It's a P-47B with contra-rotating propellers. That's the only change.
Right. I was talking about the German one with the centrally mounted propellers.
Oh yes, the Daimler-Benz Jaeger Hunter. That thing.
That thing is weird.
Oh yeah.
In any case, so let me tell folks about how I'm flying this guy. I'm flying this Tornado with Millie, and I'm flying it without ordnance. And the reason is that with its rudder ability, this thing is light fighter capable, especially with Millie. And I've been flying it that way. I don't know, about 6 months now, and I've been really enjoying the way that it flies. One of the reasons I even thought about doing it this way was as a counter to the XP-54, and having it counter, having a good counter was important to me, because I didn't want to always have to fly the XP-54 when I came to Tier 6. I wanted to fly something else.
Absolutely, you're right. And ironically enough, I am also flying with Millie in the cockpit.
Millie's an overpowered pilot.
Oh yeah, she is.
There's no doubt about that.
No doubt about that at all.
And so you put her in the plane that she's meant for, and all of a sudden this thing is an absolute monster. And so it's a what do you call it? It's a hard counter to the XP-54, in my opinion. I'm going after this Junkers 88. There we go. And folks, we're in an all bot match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you'd be correct.
So this will be over fast, but it's fine because the A-36 Apache, there's not much interesting to say about it because we already know that there's there are three Tier 6 Mustangs in the game already,
and three Tier 7s.
Right.
There's 3 Tier 6s and 3 Tier 7s.
I mean, it's the Spitfire of the American line, right? Because there's because there's a bunch of different Spitfires, right? There's a bunch of different premium Spitfires. Well, there's a bunch of premium Mustangs, which makes total sense. Because there were so many P-51s, and there were many that were made and many variants, and so
quite a few that were made famous.
Yes, and so it's it's interesting, and so now instead of it being a light fighter, it could be a multi-role, the A-36 Apache. It with a reasonable bomb reload and lots of good guns, it would serve the multi-role pretty well and fit within the meta, because the Tornado is very good, and so you want something also that it's like, why take out the Apache if I've got the Tornado? Okay, well, because the Apache has bombs. I personally prefer bombs over rockets. That's my preference, is bombs. And so that kind of rules out the Tornado, because a Tornado in specialized form, you can only have rockets, which is kind of a pain in the neck. I want bombs, and I want to choose bombs, and to do that, give me an Apache.
Absolutely. And then the other thing to point out is that even with, you mentioned this with the B-32, with it being initially a premium, I'm not sure if that was ever the case, but if it was, you can do the same thing with the Apache here. You could make this a bridge to a potential American ground attack line, should that ever pop up. That would be absolutely insane, probably in 2024, but who knows?
Right. I mean, you start talking about an American ground attack line. Now we're dreaming a little bit.
I mean, it's a very dodgy concept, probably the dodgiest of all, I will say.
And I think it's an interesting idea, because there's plenty of planes.
I'm proud of you, pilots. Head back home.
So yeah, raffle stomp, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't even score a single point.
Yeah. So, and we didn't work hard at it, right?
No.
It's one of those games where the red bots kind of rolled over. It's kind of sad, but
it happens.
So the A-36 is even though it's a copy paste plane, I really like the idea of it, just because I've gotten it more into multi-role and because of the possibilities of it. The P-51A is not great at hitting ground attack aircraft, because it's only got 450 cals. Well, the 650 cals of the A-36 Apache would make it more of an anti-GAA plane. It would fit in with that meta a little bit better. It's more of a competitor with a Tornado. Potentially a competitor to the FW-190A5.
Right.
Spirit Fox would argue, he's that's his thing and he loves it. But I think that the Apache would offer it some serious competition.
Absolutely.
It doesn't overshadow the P-47 Bravo, because the P-47 Bravo has much more capping capability. Let's see. We wouldn't even talk about the Soviet multi-roles, because they don't really do much air-to-ground stuff.
No, they do not.
One could argue the Mosquito is a fast multi-role, and it would be a good counter to the Mosquito, possibly, because because multi-roles are counter to heavy fighters. So
absolutely.
So you've got your, I think it fits right in a tier 6, not overpowered, has a good slot for it to go in, worthy of play, worthy of specialization and further play, and doesn't get stomped, doesn't stomp everything. I think it's a good fit. Personally, I think it's a good fit. That's one of the reasons
I actually am starting to agree with you. I at first was kind of like, but now, the more you think about it, the more it's like, okay, this actually makes some sense.
And like I said, copy paste is easy to do.
Absolutely.
You don't have to create a new nation. You don't have to create a new pilot. Now you've got put Mary Loveheart in the cockpit of this thing,
Oh,
and with
Lord
those
of
500-pound
mercy.
bombs. Yeah, now it becomes pretty stout at tier 6, and it becomes a capping machine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's an argument. There's an argument that maybe it's a little much, but I'll take it. In a tier that's dominated by heavy fighters, there's no doubt about the fact that it's dominated by heavy fighters, and so it needs a little something in the multi-role region.
Absolutely.
Well, but I gotta tell you, I have had a ton of fun flying with you today and talking about all these planes.
Absolutely. So, folks, if you feel the same way about any of these aircraft, please leave a comment or even like the video. Subscribe if you've just stumbled into this and you found this interesting. I want to give a big shout out to Corvus for joining me today. Absolute blast. We won pretty much every single battle except for one, and it took another OWSS to do it.
Yep. And thanks for that, brother. We'll get you next time, I promise.
Oh, no doubt about that. So, and then, folks, if I do have plans to potentially do another one like this with Corvus, probably not as many aircraft, but there's a lot that could be talked about here like this. And of course,
and weird stuff. Weird stuff.
No doubt about that, my friend. So, well, with that, folks, I appreciate you guys watching this. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one. Another big shout out to Corvus Corvax for joining me today. You folks have a good one. I'll catch you all later.